Deep beneath the fortified walls of Vatican City, past the watchful gaze of the Swiss Guard, and behind a series of heavy, climate-controlled doors, lies a labyrinth that has fueled 1,000 conspiracies. It is a subterranean fortress containing 53 miles of shelving, holding millions of documents that span 12 centuries. For 400 years, this place was known officially as the Archivio Segreto Vaticano, the Vatican Secret Archives. To the public, it is the ultimate black box, a place where the lost Gospels of Jesus, the records of the Knights Templar, and perhaps even evidence of extraterrestrial life are whispered to be hidden. But the reality of what is actually kept within these silent, steel-reinforced corridors is far more astonishing than any Dan Brown novel. This is the true story of the Vatican's hidden library, a journey into the deep memory of the human race. Part 1. The Architecture of Secrecy. To understand the mystery of the Vatican archives, one must first understand its physical presence. This is not a dusty library in a basement. It is a high-tech, high-security vault. In the 1980s, the Vatican constructed a massive two-story underground bunker made of reinforced concrete, designed to protect its most sensitive documents from nuclear blasts, humidity, and the ravages of time. The archive is divided into sections that feel like a map of human history. There are the miscellanea, the instrumenta, and the registra. Within these 53 miles of shelves, there are roughly 35,000 volumes of catalogs just to help the librarians find where things are. For centuries, the word secret in the title fueled the fire of conspiracy. However, historians point out that the Latin secretum doesn't strictly mean secret in the modern sense. It meant private. It was the Pope's personal archive. But in 2019, Pope Francis, realizing that the word was doing more harm than good to the Church's image, officially changed the name to the Vatican Apostolic Archive. Part 2. The Ghost of Galileo and the Trial of the Century. One of the most profound secrets long hidden within these walls was the full documentation of the trial of Galileo Galilei. For nearly 3 centuries, the Church kept the transcript of his 1633 interrogation under lock and key. In these yellowed pages, you can feel the tension between the birth of modern science and the grip of ancient theology. Galileo, the man who looked through a telescope and saw the truth of the cosmos, was forced to kneel before the Inquisition and recant his heresy that the earth moved around the sun. I, Galileo, swear that I have always believed, do believe, and with God's help will in the future believe all that is held, preached, and taught by the Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. For years, rumors persisted that the Vatican had hidden pages of the transcript that proved Galileo was tortured. When the archives were finally opened to scholars in the late 19th century, the truth was revealed. While he wasn't physically tortured, the psychological pressure and the threat of death were laid bare on the margins of the scribe's notes. These documents remain a haunting reminder of the moment science and religion collided at the speed of light. Part 3. The Divorce that Changed the World. If you walk deep enough into the indices section, you will find a document that is physically massive and historically explosive. It is a letter dated 1530, sent to Pope Clement VII. It is a petition from the English House of Lords, signed by nearly every powerful man in England, including the Archbishop of Canterbury. The letter asks the Pope to annul the marriage of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon. What makes the document breathtaking is its sheer scale. To ensure the Pope knew the weight of their demand, the English lords attached 81 individual silk ribbon seals to the bottom of the parchment. When the Pope refused this request, Henry VIII broke away from the Catholic Church, sparking the English Reformation and changing the course of Western history forever. This single piece of parchment, still preserved in the archive, is essentially the birth certificate of the Church of England. Part 4. The Chinon Parchment and the Knights Templar. For 700 years, the fate of the Knights Templar was shrouded in mystery. The common story was that the Pope had found them guilty of heresy and devil worship, leading to their brutal execution in 1307. However, in 2001, a researcher named Barbara Frail made a discovery in the archives that sent shockwaves through the historical community. She found a misplaced document known as the Shannon Parchment. The document revealed that Pope Clement V had actually absolved the Templars of heresy in 1308. He had found them innocent of the most serious charges, but was forced to dissolve the order anyway due to extreme political pressure from King Philip IV of France. For 7 centuries, the Church had allowed the world to believe they had condemned the Templars as heretics, while the private truth sat misfiled in a box just a few hundred yards from St. Peter's Basilica. Part 5. Conspiracies and the Chronovisor. No discussion of the Vatican's hidden library is complete without addressing the more extraordinary claims. Among the most popular in the USA is the legend of the Chronovisor. According to a story that surfaced in the 1970s, a Benedictine monk named Father Pellegrino Ernetti claimed to have helped build a machine, a sort of time viewer, that could capture the light and sound waves of past events. He claimed to have seen the crucifixion of Christ and the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Legend says the Vatican realized the machine was too dangerous for humanity and dismantled it, hiding the plans and the evidence in the depths of the secret archive. While most historians and scientists dismiss the Chronovisor as science fiction, its persistence in pop culture speaks to the archive's reputation. People believe if something is too powerful for the public to know, the Vatican is the only place equipped to hide it forever. Part 6. The Darkest Chapter. Pope Pius XII. Perhaps the most controversial and sensitive part of the archive involves the years 1939 to 1945. For decades, Pope Pius XII has been a figure of intense debate. His critics call him Hitler's Pope, accusing him of remaining silent during the Holocaust. His defenders claim he worked secretly to save thousands of Jews. The records for this period were supposed to remain sealed until 2028. However, facing mounting international pressure, Pope Francis ordered the files opened in March 2020. The Church is not afraid of history, Francis declared. Since the opening, researchers have been poring over millions of pages. The emerging picture is complex. The archives have revealed letters from Jewish organizations begging for help and internal memos showing the Pope's fear that a direct confrontation with Hitler would lead to the destruction of the Vatican itself. While the smoking gun that solves the debate may not exist, the opening of these files represents the ultimate test of the archive's transparency. Part 7. How to enter the labyrinth. Gaining access to the Vatican Apostolic Archive is not a matter of buying a ticket. It is one of the most exclusive clubs in the academic world. The requirements for entry. Credentials. You must be a qualified scholar from a recognized university or institute of higher education. The request. You must state exactly what you are looking for. You cannot browse the shelves. You request a specific folder and it is brought to you. The vetting. Your background is checked. Undergraduates are strictly forbidden. The rules. No pens, only pencils, no cameras, and no cell phones. Every morning, a small group of scholars enters through the Porta de Santa Ana. They pass the Swiss guards, walk across the courtyard, and enter the reading rooms. They are the only outsiders allowed to touch the pulse of history. Part 8. The Race Against Decay. The greatest threat to the Vatican's secrets isn't a thief or a spy. It's acidity. The paper used in the 19th and early 20th centuries is slowly eating itself. To combat this, the Vatican has launched one of the most ambitious digitization projects in history. They are using high-resolution scanners to create a digital backup of the entire archive. But at the current rate, it will take over 100 years to finish. For now, the archivists are in a race against time, trying to decide which secrets are the most important to save for the next 1,000 years. Conclusion. The memory of humanity. The Vatican Apostolic Archive is more than a collection of papers. It is a mirror. It reflects our greatest achievements, the beautiful letters of Michelangelo, the maps of the New World, the pleas for peace, and our deepest failures, the trials of heretics, the silence of popes, and the wars of religion. The mystery isn't that the Vatican is hiding a secret about aliens or the Holy Grail. The mystery is the sheer weight of human experience contained in one place. In these 53 miles of shelving, the past isn't dead. It is sitting in a box, waiting for someone to ask the right question. The Vatican has spent 400 years guarding these documents. As they slowly move from the secret era into an era of digital transparency, we are beginning to realize that the most shocking thing about the hidden library is how much it tells us about ourselves. The story of the Vatican's hidden library is not just a tale of what is inside, but a saga of how these documents survived the most violent upheavals of human history. To understand the gravity of this place, one must look at the moment the secret was almost lost forever. A moment when the archives were loaded onto wagons and hauled across the Alps by a man who intended to build a new Rome. Part 9. The Napoleonic Heist. In 1010, Napoleon Bonaparte did the unthinkable. After conquering the Papal States, he ordered the entire Vatican Secret Archive to be packed up and moved to Paris. He dreamed of creating a central world archive where he could control the narrative of history. Over 3,000 crates were loaded on massive wagons. The journey was a catastrophe. Wagons overturned in mountain passes, rain soaked priceless 12th century parchments, and some documents were even used by soldiers to start campfires. For 4 years, the memory of the popes sat in a warehouse in Paris. When Napoleon fell in 1814, the archives were returned, but the damage was done. Thousands of documents were lost or stayed behind in French libraries. This event made the Vatican even more protective. They realized that if their history could be stolen by a corporal from Corsica, it had to be guarded with walls of stone and walls of silence. Part 10. The Letter from the Empress of China. Hidden among the European treaties and papal bulls is a document that reveals the Vatican's global reach long before the age of the Internet. It is a letter written on exquisite silk, sent in 1650 by the Empress Dowager Wang of China. The Empress had converted to Christianity and took the name Helena. In her letter, she pleaded with the Pope to send more Jesuit missionaries to help protect the Ming dynasty from the invading Manchu forces. It is a haunting artifact, a bridge between the Forbidden City and the Apostolic Palace, showing that even in the 17th century, the Vatican was the world's most sophisticated intelligence agency. Part 11. The Codex Vaticanus, the original Bible. While the secret archives contain political drama, the Vatican Library, the public sister of the archive, holds the world's most important religious book, the Codex Vaticanus. Dating back to the 4th century, it is one of the oldest and most complete versions of the Bible in existence. For centuries, scholars were forbidden from seeing it. Rumors swirled in the US and Europe that the Codex contained lost chapters or different endings to the Gospels that would change Christian doctrine. When it was finally made available for study in the late 19th century, it did indeed reveal surprises. For example, the earliest versions of the Gospel of Mark end abruptly at verse 16:8 without the story of the resurrection. These are the kinds of secrets the Vatican holds. Not necessarily aliens, but the raw, unedited history of how our most sacred beliefs were formed. Part 12. The Modern Men in Black, the Archivists. To work in the archives is to be a part of a silent elite brotherhood. The current prefect of the archives oversees a staff of highly trained paleographers, experts in ancient handwriting. A day in the life of a Vatican archivist is a lesson in patience. They don't just file papers, they are forensic scientists. They use multispectral imaging to read letters where the ink has faded to nothing.
They use chemical analysis to determine if a 1,000-year-old seal is authentic or a medieval forgery. Part 13. The Lost Letters of Mary, Queen of Scots. In 1587, as she waited for the executioner's axe in Fotheringham Castle, Mary, Queen of Scots wrote a final desperate letter to Pope Sixtus V. She declared her steadfastness to the Catholic faith and begged the Pope to look after her soul. This letter, written in a cramped, trembling hand, sat in the Vatican's vaults for centuries. It is a piece of living history that allows us to see the final moments of a queen who was a pawn in a global game of chess between England, France, and Rome. In the archive, these people aren't just names in a textbook. They are real, breathing humans whose emotions are captured on parchment. Part 14. The Digi-Vat Lib, the library of the 22nd century. The Vatican is no longer just hiding the past, it is fighting to make it immortal. Through the Digi-Vat Lib project, they have partnered with tech giants to digitize over 80,000 manuscripts. They use a specialized file format called FITS, developed by NASA, which is designed to last for centuries without becoming obsolete like a JPEG or a PDF. They are literally using space-age technology to ensure that if the physical vaults are ever destroyed, the digital memory of the human race will survive. Part 15. Why the mystery matters to us. For the American audience, the Vatican's hidden library represents the ultimate conflict between the right to know and the need for order. In a culture that values total transparency, the idea of a secret archive feels suspicious. But as we peel back the layers, we see that the archive isn't just about hiding the Church's sins. It is a repository of human identity. It contains the blueprints for our legal systems, the origins of our languages, and the personal letters of the people who shaped our world. If the Vatican were to open every door tomorrow and put every page on the internet, the mystery wouldn't disappear, it would only deepen. Because the true secret of the Vatican Library isn't a hidden treasure or a forbidden gospel. It's the realization that history is a vast, messy, and beautiful puzzle that no single generation will ever fully solve. Conclusion: the unlocked door. As you walk out of the Vatican City today, past the heavy iron gates, you realize that the archives are no longer the black hole they once were. Pope Francis has signaled a new era of openness. But even with more scholars than ever inside those walls, the 53 miles of shelves still hold secrets that haven't been touched in 1,000 years. The mystery of the Vatican's hidden library is a story without an end. As long as there are stories to tell and secrets to keep, those subterranean vaults will remain the silent, beating heart of our collective memory. While the letters of queens and the trials of scientists represent the high drama of the archives, there is a quieter, perhaps even more profound mystery hidden in the shelves that connect the old world to the new. For the American audience, the most startling secret in the Vatican's possession isn't a religious relic, but a collection of documents that redraw the map of the world as we know it.
Part 16. The Vatican and the Discovery of America. Long before the United States was a dream in the minds of the Founding Fathers, the Vatican was the ultimate arbiter of the globe. Hidden in the archives are the original bulls, official papal edicts that literally divided the world in half. Following Christopher Columbus's voyage in 1492, the Spanish and Portuguese crowns were on the verge of war over the newly discovered lands. To prevent a bloodbath between the two Catholic superpowers, Pope Alexander VI issued the Inter Caetera in 1493. This document drew an imaginary line down the Atlantic Ocean. Everything to the west belonged to Spain, and everything to the east belonged to Portugal. But the mystery goes deeper.
Some researchers have found evidence in the Vatican's geographical records suggesting that the Church may have had maps of the Western lands decades, if not a century, before Columbus set sail. These maps, allegedly brought back by Norse explorers or secret fishing expeditions, suggest that the Vatican knew exactly what was across the ocean, while the rest of Europe was still arguing whether the Earth was flat. To this day, scholars are combing through the Fondo Borghese to find the definitive proof that the secret of America was known in Rome long before 1492. Part 17. The Index of Forbidden Books. For nearly 400 years, the Vatican maintained a list that struck fear into the hearts of writers and thinkers, the Index Librum Prohibitorum. This was a list of books that no Catholic was allowed to read under pain of excommunication. The secret records of the Sacred Congregation of the Index are still being analyzed. Within these files, we find the Church's reviews of the greatest minds in history. They banned Victor Hugo, Galileo, Copernicus, and even Jean-Paul Sartre. But the most fascinating part of the archive is the case files. In these documents, you can see the internal debates. Sometimes the Church's censors actually praised the literary quality of a book, even as they voted to ban it for its dangerous ideas. The archives reveal a Church that was not just a rigid censor, but a sophisticated and often conflicted gatekeeper of the human mind. The Index was officially abolished in 1966, but the records of why we weren't allowed to read certain things for 4 centuries remain one of the most popular sections for modern historians. Part 21. The Pope and the American Civil War. Hidden within the Nuva series of the archives lies a collection of letters that most American history books overlook. In the 1860s, as the United States was tearing itself apart, both Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson Davis wrote to Pope Pius IX. Davis sought international recognition for the Confederacy, hoping the Pope's blessing would legitimize the South. Lincoln, meanwhile, was concerned about the thousands of Irish and German Catholic immigrants fighting in the Union Army. The archives contain the Pope's diplomatic responses, masterpieces of non-committal language, where he addressed Davis as the illustrious and honored president, a phrase that sent the North into a diplomatic frenzy. These letters prove that even in the midst of America's greatest internal struggle, the silent observers in the Vatican were holding a piece of the puzzle. Part 22. The Grimoires and the Black Magic Rumors. We cannot finish the story of a secret library without addressing the most persistent rumor of all, the secret section of occult and magic. Conspiracy theorists often claim the Vatican holds the world's most powerful black magic books, including the Grand Grimoire, said to contain the ritual for summoning the devil. While the Vatican officially denies having a magic section, scholars have found thousands of documents related to the Inquisition's confiscation of heretical books. These aren't spell books that work, but they are something much more valuable. They are the only surviving records of folk beliefs, pagan rituals, and ancient medical practices that the Church tried to erase. The intricate mystery isn't that the Vatican is practicing magic, it's that they're the only reason we still know what those ancient wizards and witches actually believed. They kept the evidence of very things they tried to destroy.
Part 23. The Modern Black Box. Intelligence and Diplomacy. Today, the Vatican Archive functions as the world's oldest and most discreet intelligence agency. Every papal nuncio, ambassador in the world, sends daily dispatches back to Rome. These aren't just religious reports, they are deep dives into the political stability, economic health, and social unrest of every country on Earth. These documents are sealed for 75 years. This means that right now, the Vatican knows things about the current state of global politics that the CIA or MI6 might not even have on their radar. In the archives of the 22nd century, the secret will be the records of the private meetings between modern popes and world leaders, where the true fate of nations was often decided in whispers. Part 24. The Mystery of the Sede Vacante. There is one moment when the archive becomes the most important place on earth, the Sede Vacante, the time when the papal throne is vacant. When a pope dies, the secret archives are immediately sealed with lead ribbons and special wax stamps. During this time, the Camerlengo, the chamberlain, takes control. The archives contain the rules of the conclave, some of which haven't been changed since the Middle Ages. This ensures that even in the chaos of a transition of power, the memory of the Church remains intact. The archive is the anchor that prevents the institution from drifting into history. Part 25. Conclusion. The Final Ledger. The story of the Vatican's hidden library began with a simple need to remember, and it has ended as the world's most complex psychological and historical archive. We have seen the science, the suppressed truth of Galileo, the power, the letters of Henry VIII and Napoleon's heist, the faith, the Codex Vaticanus and the letters of Mary Queen of Scots, the future, the 53 miles of shelves that are now being turned into digital bits and bytes for the 22nd century. The ultimate secret of the Vatican Archive is that nothing is truly hidden forever. History is a slow-moving river. The doors that are locked today will be opened by the scholars of tomorrow. The Vatican isn't hiding the truth, they are buffering it. They are holding on to the facts until the world is stable enough to handle them. As the sun sets over St. Peter's Square and the tourists head back to their hotels, the archivists deep underground are turning off their lights. They leave behind the thoughts, fears, and dreams of billions of people, etched in ink and preserved in stone. The 53 miles of silence remain, a testament to the fact that while men die and empires fall, the word, recorded, filed, and protected, is the only thing that truly lasts. The hidden library is no longer a myth. It is the solid, breathing foundation of our collective human story. And the best part? We have only just begun to read the first few pages. Thanks for watching.